It's 2 a.m. in Dallas. Your phone says 4% battery. The traffic lights on the corner haven't worked in 6 hours. And in a control room outside Houston, an engineer just said something nobody wants to hear out loud. We don't know if we can turn it back on. This isn't a hurricane story. This isn't a hack. This is what actually happens after the United States power grid goes down, and the timeline is faster and uglier than almost anyone realizes. Within 72 hours, hospitals run out of fuel. Water stops coming out of the tap, and a system built to keep 330 million people alive starts turning on itself. So why can't engineers just flip a switch and bring it back? What really happens, hour by hour, when the power doesn't come back on? Stay with me, because the answer involves a fuel truck that can't get fuel, a battery that was never built for this, and a Texas night in 2021 that came closer to this exact nightmare than most people ever found out. Here's what almost nobody outside the power industry knows. The American grid isn't one grid, it's 3. The Eastern Interconnection, the Western Interconnection, and Texas, which runs its own separate grid, ERCOT, specifically to dodge federal oversight. That independence is also why Texas had nowhere to borrow power from when its own grid nearly collapsed in February 2021. Now here's the part that breaks people's brains. You can't just turn a power plant back on. Big plants need outside electricity to start their own systems. Pumps, control rooms, safety equipment. It's called a black start. Without it, a dead plant is just a dead building. Engineers need small generators or hydro dams to feed it a trickle of power first, like jump-starting a car with a battery that's also dead. If too many plants go down at once, there may not be enough jumper cables to go around. But that wasn't the biggest problem, not even close. Cell towers run on backup batteries. Most are built to last 4 to 8 hours, not days. By hour 8, the first towers start going dark in rural counties. By hour 18, it's spreading to suburbs. By hour 24, internet routing stations, the physical buildings that move data between cities, lose their own backup power and drop offline one by one. That means no calls, no texts, no internet, and no card payments, because every debit swipe needs a network connection to a bank. In one day, America quietly becomes a cash-only country, except the ATMs are dead too. But by day 2, the crisis stops being digital. It becomes something you can't text your way out of. Water treatment plants run on electric pumps. No power, no pressure. Within a day, water stops reaching upper floors of buildings. Within 2, treatment plants can't filter or pump at all, and water authorities start issuing do not drink notices nobody can read, because the emergency alert system also needs the grid. Hospitals saw this coming decades ago, which is why they have diesel generators. So do most nuclear plants for backup cooling. Problem is, diesel runs out. Most hospital generators carry somewhere between 2 and 4 days of fuel. And here's the part that turns a power outage into a survival crisis. To refill those generators, you need a fuel truck. To fill that truck, you need a fuel depot. And the pumps at that depot, the ones that physically move diesel out of the ground, run on electricity. No grid, no pumps, no pumps, no truck, no truck, no diesel. No diesel, the backup generators that were supposed to save lives are now just very expensive paperweights counting down. This is the moment the story flips. It was never really about the power grid. It was about a country that built every single backup system on the assumption that fuel could always be delivered, and never planned for what happens when the delivery system needs the very power that's gone. So what does day 3 actually look like? Hospitals start triaging which patients keep ventilators running. Water becomes something people boil over fires if they can find one. Banks can't process transactions, so cash becomes the only currency, and the people who have it become targets. 911 systems, built on the same digital backbone as everything else, start failing right when crime starts rising. Nobody planned a blackout. They planned for hours. The country built 100 years of infrastructure on the assumption that the grid simply doesn't fail nationwide. It was never tested for what happens when every fallback needs the same thing that just disappeared. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. This isn't a hypothetical built for a YouTube thumbnail. In February 2021, the Texas grid came within minutes, not hours, of a total collapse that engineers later said could have taken weeks to fully restart, plant by plant, with black starts cascading across a system with nowhere to borrow power from. We avoided it by minutes. Nobody's promised we get those minutes next time. Modern civilization isn't centuries of progress away from the dark. It's about 3 days of silence.